Everything inside is a fumbling, mumbling look. Cannot coincide, so I'm stumbling, bumbling. Took way too many rides, and I'm thinking I'm sinking a hook. Thinking my drinking was good, sober but wishing
What's up, YouTube? This is YL, the White Elephant. We're bringing you another video from here, inside the world of Warcraft. And today, we're going to take a look at one of the achievements that you need to do if you want to be able to fly in Zereth Mortis. This one right here, the Tales of the Exile. And in the Tales of the Exile, we will go all over Zereth Mortis to collect 7 pieces of basically journal entries from Firim while he was in exile. You may remember this from doing the quests, spoiler alert. We will go through the location of finding each of these 7 parts, and I'll also read the storyline for each one. So I won't be offended if you skip around, but make sure you hit that subscribe button. And here we go. Oh wait, you know, this would be a lot faster if I use my mount. Okay, and now we are off. And here is the location of the very first one, right here by the Path of Inception. So you're going to come to where the trail kind of intersects right here, and come up onto this cliff, and you're looking for these little scrolls, just like that one. And, hey, I am trying to make a video. You know what? I'm gonna have to take care of this right here. All right, sorry about that, guys. I had to take out the trash real quick. Okay, and as I was saying, click to collect, and we now have part 1. As my exile begins, I cannot help but think back on the events that led to our arrival. They doubted me, mocked me, conspired to replace me. Yet just as they unsheathed their blades of doubt and skulked forward to strike me down, it happened. The geometry revealed itself. The fractals aligned. At long last, I found the way to Zereth Mortis. No other mind could conceive the formulae required to succeed. Portal after portal, tuned and retuned, stretching out and looping back upon themselves. No wonder so many before me had failed. The fools among our expedition rushed to plunder the land's mysteries, and paid the price for their folly. Did I not insist the first ones would not leave their secrets unguarded? The survivors learned their lesson and heeded my warnings. We found a safe foothold, a haven from which our work began, but our fragile harmony would not endure. One more quick clip. All right. And here is where you will find the second one, right near the nest of Bitterbeak, right there, pretty close. And you might recognize this spot from one of the daily quests that has you come over and trap Bitterbeak in a containment field and examine him very closely. If Bitterbeak is awake when you stop by, you might have to kill him because he is a very ornery chicken. But go ahead and climb up into his nest, and there is our next scroll. And there we have part 2. We'll go ahead and go over here just in case the angry chicken wakes back up. The deeper we delved into the mysteries of Zereth Mortis, the more my colleagues became affected. Even the executor, Alkreth, perhaps the most glory-driven of anyone in the expedition, began to regard the knowledge we gleaned as sacred. In time, Alara and the others perceived the great truth. We could not send word of our discoveries back to the Overseer. The secrets of the first ones were not to be plundered. Outsiders would only disrupt the crucial purpose of Zereth Mortis. We shattered our portals. I blotted out my translocation equations even from my own mind. Any temptation that might lead us back to the outer realms was forfeit. Our hearts sang as we renounced our cartel designations. From that day forth, I was simply Firim, and while I did not seek to profit from the prodiginator's knowledge, I did want to understand it. That is where the schism began. And here is where we're going to find the third one, right up here by Exile's Hollow. You go right to kind of the entrance of where you would start going in there and look for this, like, I don't know what you'd call that, giant fern, giant flower. The scroll is tucked in right behind it there. As you can see, I did these a little out of order, but that's okay. We're reading them in order for you. And here we go. Why had I been burdened by the company of minds so small? Even in a land of infinite wonder, the dullards who worked alongside me in Haven failed to appreciate the purpose that drove my every thought and deed. I had to reach the sepulchre. It was blasphemy, they claimed. The mysteries there were too sacred, truths not to be approached or even pondered. They labeled me a heretic. When my back was turned, they sabotaged my research. Just as I neared the translation of a new cipher, Kreth would send some meddling pilgrim to interfere. Our bitter feud stretched on and became irreconcilable. Finally, they declared me an apostate and banished me from Haven, the very foothold I had given them. Still, I bore this indignity in a manner befitting one of my intellect and resolve. In exile, I would outpace them all, and so I did. One last look at the location. All right, we'll get the next one. This one, you kind of want to approach from over here. It's going to be kind of on the cliff over there, but and come up the path and approach from the back side of this wall here along the edge of the cliff. You're probably going to piss off the hate flowers there. That's okay. Just come right over to where this, the edge is here, and then use some lazy AoEs to kill the super pissed off violets. And there we go. All right. And the scroll is right here along the cliff side. And right there. Now we have part 4. Though access to the sepulchre continued to elude me, I learned much by observing the Automa. Admittedly, I underestimated them at first. They seemed mere servitors, less capable of independent thought than even the muddle-minded attendants in Oribos. But like everything else in Zereth Mortis, they were part of a pattern, a geometry that shifted, expanding and contracting as demanded by the duty put before them. After all, this land is no museum, no library of obscurities. No, it is a workshop, a forge where afterlives are fashioned. When I detached my consciousness from the limitations of perception, I saw the grand architecture of the prodiginators put into practice. Afterlives assembled according to the needs of the Arbiter's judgments. It was the Automa who carried out these duties, forging flora, fauna, and terrain, encasing them in orbs to be sent out into the in-between, like seeds falling into fertile soil. Do you see? Do you understand as I do? Everything about the Shadowlands, everything, is part of the pattern, a closed system in which nothing is lost. Even that which is seemingly destroyed is merely being reshaped for a new purpose. Purpose? Myopic though they are, perhaps the attendants understand some small measure of this mystery. And on to the 5th one. going to be right over here, top of Exile's Hollow. You're looking for this little cave here, and it is full of some really angry monsters, so you might have to clear those out, but you come along the outside here, right next to this cipher chest. Now look at the location, and we just click to collect, just like the rest of them. And now we have part 5. I observed many types of automa, of varied sizes and shapes. Guardians, builders, collectors, and a more petite variety that seemed to revel in duties of upkeep and repair. Besides an unwavering devotion to their obligations, these automa shared another notable trait: their language. They spoke not in words I could understand, but in tones and echoes. Know that I, Firim, am renowned for my linguistic skills. Though a rival in the Shadowlands imbues mortal souls with a knowledge of the words of death, many retain memories of the languages they used in their worlds. And what is language if not a system of sounds and patterns, I ask you? So yes, of course, I had absorbed countless languages during my interviews of mortal souls. Thus you will understand my confidence that the language of the automa would pose little challenge. Never in my existence had I been so wrong. The language of the automa was not merely words. No, it was part and parcel of the ciphers. The words themselves were keys to understanding the geometry, the fractals. There was so much waiting to be discovered, but it was when I encountered one of the rarest forms of automa that my mind was truly opened. All right, and the 6th one, you're going to be looking right about here, kind of near the Dread Portal. And you're looking for this giant triangular thing sticking out of the ground. And then right behind it, off in the corner, you might see it kind of tucked behind one of these spider automa things that, or scarab automa things that your Poco guy can take over. And there we go. We got part 6. Automa were commonplace in Zereth Mortis, but not all types. One was exceedingly rare, like polished jewels among fine grains of sand. The oracles. They sang songs to their kin, and so at first I thought they were unique only in appearance, but as I drew closer to one to better observe its duties, something unexpected happened. I heard its voice. And yet the term voice falls short. To be sure, I experienced the sensation of words being spoken in much the manner one does when conversing with a colleague, and yet this was more. I felt the words as much as heard them. The thoughts entered my consciousness and conveyed their meaning to my entire being. What words did it offer? It spoke images, riddles, prophecies. And as they reverberated through my very core, I remembered my conversations with Eric II and the 1,000 truths they told me of. And then it struck me. The oracles spoke in both one truth and 1,000, not as separate thoughts, but as one in the same instant. And if the oracles, entities left behind to oversee a workshop, could think in such terms, how much more complex must the minds of their makers be? Long have I scoffed at what I learned of Titans, or the Void Lords, or demons of the Nether. I held Death's pantheon in higher regard. But now I know that they are just as limited. Truth lies not in one direction or another, but in their intersection. The first ones had parceled out their gifts, but gave no child all of them. No wonder these offspring bickered with such incessant jealousy. Their very nature was one of denial. At this realization, I lost consciousness, for I had once again transcended into a new plane of thought. One last look there. And then we're going to go to the last one. Pretty close, just a little bit to the south of number 6, you're going to find number 7 on this pile of sand here. You're going to look for this basically never-ending waterfall of sand in this corpse. Collect the scroll half sticking out of the ground, and you will have the 7th and last one if you did them in order. Every new discovery in Zereth Mortis drew me back to the mysteries of the first ones. I sought to understand their nature, yet each time I believed I was nearing an answer, I found myself drifting further away. I considered again their design, the pattern, lines and curves, arcs and angles, and turns. So many turns. The 6 forces that pointed towards a 7th, and yet denied it. For a long while, I considered this seeming contradiction no more than another variable, an unknown waiting to be solved. But the song of the oracle continued to reverberate in my consciousness, and as I allowed my focus to soften, my grip upon the tangible to loosen, the geometry took shape in my mind. It was both 6 and 7. The 6 were one, and the 7 the other. Did they desire union? The songs seemed to say otherwise. Both were, yet only one could be. The melody shifted. I shuddered at the shape it took. This was not a variable to be solved. It was a solution awaiting its opportunity. The song must not be allowed to end. Do the first ones still sing it? Truly, I do not know. But if they do not, who will? All right. And now you should have collected the 7th one. Again, if you did them in order, you will have all 7 pieces of Firim's Exile journal writings, and you will have unlocked yourself a fancy new achievement, Tales of the Exile. So, I hope it helped. I hope you enjoy your 5 achievement points. And for those of you who this is the last achievement needed, I hope you enjoy your flying. Remember to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, let me know what kind of videos you want to see me do next. Till next time.
But in trouble, I come to the phone. Got you in the zone, but you said I'd just leave you alone. Leave you all alone, but I gotta get in the tone. Gotta get in the tone. Maybe my chances are blown. Maybe got a home, but it's falling and stalling at best. Gotta get along, but it's crawling up out of my chest. Wishing it ain't